All right. So it's around. So now it is 11:30, and it's nearly 12 at the evening. You can see over here. But wait a sec. You see it? It's 11:27. It's nearly. And it's nearly 12. I just go to sleep. A few minutes ago. When I realized that I haven't finished this one, so I get up, try to open my eyes, and then look in the video and then do as try my best. Actually, I'm really tired for now, but anyway, I have to do it because of my future. Okay, so let's start it. So this one, right? Right, let's start it. You know the saying, you get your best. I would say be the best. Is being 30% of your class enough for you? No. If you want me, you gotta get after it. Then you continue your result and then you will build confidence along the way. Let's go to the case here. 10 techniques that I wish were as medical students. It helped me get into medicine and I used it on a day-to-day basis. I have to focus on the actual study techniques and the have what also the mentality, which is just as important. Let's start with the first one. First, to study from testable core materials out. So let's say the box represents all information that is presented to you in the start and the middle. It is testable material. Someone who doesn't know how to study will go from top to bottom, covering every single detail. And when exam time comes, they haven't covered like 30 to 70% of what is testable, whereas someone who knows how to study will start from the middle. You also fully develop core materials that is testable and then study hours. Next time comes some, although they don't have to study everything, the study what is important and what is testable. I don't want to be the best student as possible. I want to be the best doctor as possible. So instead, we have this tendency to try to learn everything. But we have to make this mindset shift from focusing on those long-term goals to short-term goals. And then those short-term goals, when you're taking courses, just to pass and get good grades in every midterm and every exam that is presented before you, and then those long-term goals will take care of themselves. So now you do know what is testable or not. There are three ways of figuring that out. First is to look for practice test or previous test. Sometimes the lectures give you couple questions there in the lecture to go over on. Pay attention to those. Also look online in undergrad to figure out if there are any practice tests lying around. And I asked the seniors if they have taken a course and if they had any practice material. I asked my friend who was also taking the course, you know, you gotta use your resources to figure out if there are any additional study materials you can use to help things like the seminar, not the learner. So when you learn open material, always imagine in your mind, how can I test this in a multiple choice format? How can I test it in a short long answer format and then try to run that way? The majority list is to write good concise notes and then plan out your midterm or your midterms exam and then constantly evaluating your studying so that you're not falling behind. So for example, let's say you're taking 5 courses and before midterm you have to go over 10 lectures per course and each lecture has 50 slides that total up to 25 handwritten slides that you have to go over before the midterms. So you have to write a good conscious note, summarize everything that makes it imaginable for you to go to over materials to write midterms so that you're not overloaded. Try to write notes as concise as possible to contain keywords and important information. You know that if you don't remember something from the notes, you can have problems that you can always fall back on. Number three on the list is use practice recall and learning. I have noticed previously that you can watch, but let me explain on that further here. Let me start off by giving you examples of students who don't know how to study. So when presented with an information like mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, they do is without thinking, they write. Nothing things letting on their brains. So what I do is I move my note that is I read the information, write only the keywords, and then I was looking at my notes, I look at my keyword. For example, very mitochondria. Then I try to think mitochondria is the part of powerhouse of a cell that weighs powerhouse cell. And then I try to supplement information from a lecture power of cell because it produces ATP. So I'm using all my senses, right? Hypnotical motion, I'm saying negative verbal. Visually, I'm using my visual cues, and as I'm saying, I'm listening, so I'm cursing all my auditory senses. And most thing you actively recall, you cannot remember all information. That's okay because studies have shown just by attempting to recall, you're creating connection between information in your memory. Number four, I cannot emphasize this enough. Reviewing is as important as learning new information. So if you have 20 lectures to go over before midterm, for example, it's about to go 1 to 20 and then go back to 1 to 20. What I do is I go to 1 to 5, but then I review 1 to 5 quickly, and then I move 1 to 10. And then once 1 to 10, even more clear, I go over 1 to 5, and then I look over 6 to 10, and then I go into 11 to 15. I usually currently before midterm so that you actually cover everything. Number five is more of a typical thing. Have you study harder for your midterms than your final exams? You're gonna obviously study hard for your final exam, but you have to study harder for your midterms because that's set the tone for entire course. Let's say about bummer on a midterm and entire courses is just a criteria. You're worrying the on time probably 2 to 3 months worrying about whether you're going to get a good enough final mark so that you can make up for getting a bad mark on your midterms. Number six is having strong mindset throughout school year. I'm gonna come across a little harsh here, but you know what they're saying? You're the best. I'm gonna say you're gonna be the best. You're best, really top 1% of your class. You're best to the 5% of your class. A TV program you want to get into in the end has less than 10% acceptance rate. It's been 20% of the class good enough for you? No. If you want something, you're gonna get after it. And then you start producing good results and you build confidence along the way. Number seven is putting work in and hardworking everyone, which is kind of counterintuitive but within this video because the study technique video. But compared to someone who knows these techniques but doesn't work hard, someone who doesn't know any of these techniques and then just putting the hours in studying and getting information into the brain is always going to beat the person with better study techniques. I was the person in my class, so what I did was I just literally out everyone. How do I do that? I walked into a library before everyone else and I walked out of the library after everyone else. I spent my time starting on Friday night, Saturday night, everyone was going out partying, and there was, one of the students that was leaving the library at the same time last night, and he's now a cardiac surgery, so things like that happen. This is how I want everyone. If you really want to be successful. I'm actually getting a study partner who wants as part of you. If you want to think it's really hard to find time, well, if you start studying nighttime in this library all the time, you tend to come across these guys. You have to come early morning and leave in late at night. In a work weekend, but in the grad had a good friend who was live with him. We didn't really disrupt each other. We both time study. We study really interrupt each other, and when it was taking care of us. But now we went out and had fun. And number nine is staying consistent and on top of everything. It's like imagine where there's like million things going on. If you at the look of things, I get super shit. So I have to be on top of every email. I have to be on top of every assessments and all the work I have to do. In undergrad, you dealing with 5 courses plus your extracurriculars and everything going on. So they have to stay on top of things so that you can't fall behind and get straight. Let me give you an example of efficiency and why it's so important. We have student A, student B, because student A is working Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, terrorist student D just work on Friday but takes Saturday and Sunday off. And the student B has fallen behind student A by 24 hours. So no matter how hard he tries, the next on Monday, staying 14 hours as opposed to 12, if the student staying 16 hours, that guy is always playing catch up to student A, and when you are curve gives the and correct, you're just going on to not be able to commit against student A. The ten is if really controlling your study and your worry. And when you're going through school, there are two types of warriors. One is someone who doesn't study and worry about not studying. That's the illusion that is simple. You're gonna study. Number two is can type warrior is someone who worries despite having good studies. And when you're in that position, and then you need to write out what you're worried about. So on a notebook, on iPad or whatever you are worrying because you're not seeing what you worried. So divide a line halfway in the middle, right? And write out what you can control and what you cannot control. And something like what you can control is waking up early, going to the library and studying for X amount of hours and staying focused when you're studying. We can control is the actual grades that I'm going to get for this course. Or worry, or I'm going to be I'm going to be a B plus, A minus, A plus. You, you can control that. Just focus on what you can control, and you just have to give up on what you cannot control. Alright, so I'm done with this video, and I feel really excited. It's not excited. I feel exhausted, especially for now. So I'm gonna go to bed early. Actually, it's not early anymore. It's around I think that it's not